Hey everybody, Chappelle Globonaut, and I'm back again with some more weird orbits and Kerbal Space Program with Principia nonsense, whatever you want to call it. Few comments requesting Lagrange points, so I'm going to cover one of them today, which is the L5 point between the Earth and the Moon. Just launching the shuttle here, and I'm going to have a little satellite probe just for demonstration purposes. In real life, you might use these points for communication satellites or observation satellites because you can plonk them in one spot in space relative to other bodies and it's going to stay there. So with the James Webb Space Telescope, for example, that's in a Lagrange point between the Earth and the Sun, and it stays there because it keeps the spacecraft in, I think it's permanent shadow of the Earth, which allows it to take deep space pictures without the interference of the light of the sun. So there are real world applications for these, but in this video it's just going to be for the demonstration. Now I'm burning here prograde to get to sort of the moon's orbital altitude, and you want to be using the EML reference frame, the Earth Moon Lagrange reference frame. So just look for that on your plotting frame selection. That's going to bring up the Lagrange map like this, and you want to find these dips. If you've ever read a map before, done a bit of cartography, you'll know these lines represent differences in height on like a hill, right? But on here it's representing the bend in space-time. That is what gravity is essentially. So you can think of these oval sections at the top here as dips in the bend of space-time, which the gravity is causing. And when you're hanging out in there, basically the pull of the moon and the Earth is such that it will keep you around that spot, almost like you're circling a drain, or you've put one of your coins in one of those McDonald's donation pods. I don't know if you guys know what they are, but I remember them. The coin would spiral down to the middle, right? That's the best way to think of it in my view. Just getting the probe set up here. It's the same one I've used in a few of these videos, but I've actually added the batteries I needed. And I overshot here, so I'm just pulling back a little bit to make sure I curve around. And essentially what I want to do is I'm just going to try and get myself to circle in. And once you've actually done your main burn, you don't need a lot of delta V to capture into this. So the ion engine was certainly overkill, but you know, it's nice to have it. Just correcting the inclination here as well. It's a lot easier to stay in the point if your inclination is correct. And you can see now I'm essentially circling around this spot. And I make a few little corrections. I'm trying to get it as tight as I can because with the L5 point, you tend to get pushed out. You tend to drift out of it over time. So if you can get it up so you're set up quite tight in the middle, it gives you more time to run it without having to correct. That's just what I'm doing here really. I'm just sort of fiddling around with prograde and retrograde maneuvers for the most part, trying to get a tightest spot possible. Now it's worth mentioning here, I'm travelling very, very slowly relative to the point, the Lagrange point, which essentially means it's going to take me a long time to actually exit this Lagrange point, because I'm just going to keep sort of circling it around for a while before I drift far enough out to be exited out of the point where sort of the Earth's or the Moon's gravity takes over. So me just getting this set up nice and tight. Again, I'm just fiddling around. It's best to fiddle around when you're dealing with this and then run your plan length forward so you can see, am I going to be kicked out soon or is it going to keep me in for a little while here? And I was fairly happy with this. You can see I run it forward and I'm staying in this zone basically relative to the Earth and the Moon. Now you're never going to get it like on a point, like a perfect balance where you're completely stationary, but you can get it such that you're orbiting around fairly tight. I've seen some pretty good ones. Some people can get these set up super good, but I haven't done this point before. This is my first attempt at the L5 point, so there's some trial and error going on here. I'm sure there's some good techniques. There we are. You can see it just looks like I've forwarded it and I'm staying around this general area. So the pull of the Earth and the Moon are fairly equal, keeping me in this spot. And you can see when I time warp forwards, I'm just hanging out in this little zone, and that's essentially what a Lagrange point is. I'll definitely cover the other ones because they are interesting and they all have different properties. This is one of the more stable ones, so I can just let this run, but that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys next time.